AITA for yelling at my brother and his wife after they got mad that I ate their food while house sitting for free. So I, 18F, was asked by my brother, 28M, to house sit for Haim and his wife, 25F, while they went on vacation with their kids. They have 2 dogs and 3 cats and wanted someone to stay there full time so the pets wouldn't be lonely. I said yes because I love animals and I thought I was helping them out. I stayed there for the whole week, fed all the pets, walked the dogs twice a day, cleaned up, watered the plants, even picked up their mail. I basically took care of their whole house. When they got back, they didn't even say thank you. No money, no gift, literally nothing. I wasn't expecting a paycheck or anything, but like a small thank you. You would have been nice? Then the next day, my SIL texted me saying she noticed I ate some of their food, milk, cereal, some frozen meals, and that it was disrespectful. I didn't bring my own groceries. I was honestly shocked. I didn't eat anything crazy, just stuff that was already there, and I figured that was fine since I was staying there for them. We got into a big argument because she kept saying it was rude, my brother took her side, and I kinda lost it. I told them they were ungrateful and acting ridiculous. I would call her a spoiled brat, not proud of that part TBH, but I was mad. Now, my mom is mad at me and says I need to apologize because I disrespected my brother's wife. But I took care of their pets and house for a week for free and somehow am the bad guy. AITA for yelling at them and calling her names. AITA for taking my niece on vacation after her parents planned one without her. My niece, 11, is the youngest child with 4 older brothers. She's also the youngest cousin and grandchild and the only girl. Between that and the fact that she was very sick when she was little, she's a little spoiled by everyone except her parents. When she turned 11, she told her mom she wanted to go on a weekend trip with just her and her mom. Her mom made a big deal about her wanting to exclude her dad and brothers. They refused to do the trip and also didn't plan anything for her birthday, so I took her on her trip myself. Last month was one of her brother's birthdays. He decided that for his birthday, he wanted everyone to go to Mexico except for my niece. Her parents agreed that it was fair because if she wanted a trip without them, they can get one without her. They asked me if I could watch her for 10 days. My niece was so upset, so I decided to plan a surprise trip for her. I have some clients in Miami, so I arranged for us to go there for 5 days, drive up to Orlando for 3 days, then fly to New York for 2 days, where I also had to get some work done. It was technically a work trip, but I was able to plan a lot of fun outings for my niece. Just before their trip to Mexico, I told my niece's parents that I had to be in Florida and New York for work during their trip, but I could take her with me. Since it was so last minute, they had to agree as they didn't have any other childcare and couldn't miss this trip. She had a blast. We spent a day in Disney World, went to 2 Broadway shows, spent most of our time in Florida on the beach, DI'd a lot of shopping, got room service for the first time, and our tickets were upgraded, so we flew first class on our way home. Her parents are mad that I spoiled her and undermined them, so I don't get to see her as much as I used to. I'm still their after-school childcare, so I see her a few days a week, and they're going around telling extended family that I took their KI'd across the country without permission, because I was upset about her being punished for being rude. AET for not helping my sister and prioritizing myself. I'm 18F, and my sister 15F constantly asks me to help with her homework. Sometimes, literally at the last second. I usually help her, but yesterday I said no because I had my own uni work and my own deadlines to meet, which made her super mad, and she went to my parents telling my mom and dad I'm never supporting her. I tried explaining that I have my own life and responsibilities and cannot always just drop everything to help her in her daily life. This, of course, has made no ground with my parents, and I've been told to be more understanding. Personally, I cannot see why I should be a third parent when I have to do all my stuff myself. Does me being 18 mean I should be making time for my sister regardless of personal struggles, or AMTA? AETA for kicking out a family that gatecrashed a private party? I booked a soft play for my son's birthday party. It has both public sessions and private sessions. I obviously booked one of the private sessions and didn't interfere with the usual times it's available to the public. When I opened the buffet, a woman I didn't know approached me, asking if her children could have some. I explained I had booked the venue for a private party. She said, "That doesn't matter, my children want some food." I replied no, because the food was for the party. She walked away, telling her children to just wait until I had left the food area. Realizing she wasn't taking my answer, I asked staff to speak to her. They did, explaining it was a private event and they needed to leave. She shouted that her and her children were not leaving and that I should be told to allow the children to have the food. I went back over, said again it was a private event, and she shouted, "What is a sandwich?" repeatedly at me until I shouted back that she needed to leave. She died eventually leave, flicking the V's at me as she walked out the door. The soft play wasn't at capacity, and in truth, there probably was enough for them to have some of the buffet, but the way she approached me with the assumption I'd say yes, and then blatantly planning to disregard my answer made me stand my ground. So, AITA for kicking out the Gatecrashers, AITA for asking my brother to live in my backyard shed. My brother has hit rock bottom in his life right now. He lost everything: his marriage, custody, and his career. He was found hiring a prostitute to his office, although that is still oversimplifying all. The bad decisions he made the last couple years. I invited him to move over to Phoenix to live with me and start over again. I want him to stay in the shed in my backyard, which has a loft, a kitchen, a living room, a bathroom, and even a washing machine dryer combo. He told me he was hurt that I didn't want him to live in my house, which has 4 bedrooms, even though my partner and I only have one teenager son. He reasoned that he raised me up and saved up for me to go to college and eventually live a life I could have not imagined when I was a little kid. Everything he said was true, and I am always grateful for him and how he raised me up, even though he was a kid himself back then. What I didn't tell Haim is that I am not sure about letting my son seeing Haim drinking. He got into the habit of drinking the past few years. And I also don't know what he could have got himself after sleeping with prostitutes all these years. Am I the asshole here? Ada for trying to set a boundary with my little sister after she opened my birthday present. 23F, little sister is 13F. I live back and forth between my mom's and my dad's house. All of my siblings are half siblings on my dad's side. I love my little sister, but lately I've been getting annoyed about certain boundaries she crosses. She's obsessed with face cream, hand cream, body spray, perfume, any hair products that smell good, lip gloss, balm. She has a very big collection of all these things. I once sat and counted how many lip stuff she has accumulated over the years, and I counted 37. Despite having tons of her own, she always asks to borrow mine and often ends up using up the entire thing. One of my perfumes was almost completely used up because she would spray it at least 20 times every time she used it. She gets upset if I don't share my stuff with her. For example, I got a body mist from Bath & Body Works recently because I loved the smell. I decided to leave it at my mom's house. My sister saw it in the background during a FaceTime and said, "Oh, that looks like it smells good. Can you bring it the next time you come?" Here. And I jokingly said something along the lines of, "I think we've got more than enough perfumes at Dad's." And she was visibly upset. I'm quite a patient person, so I brush all of this off. She's my lil sister, and that's just what siblings do, right? But this recent situation has really upset me, and I don't know if I'm overreacting or not. So, it was my birthday on Tuesday. I went to my dad's to celebrate after work. When I sat down to open presents, I noticed that all of them were intact except one, of which the packaging had been ripped open and the contents removed. Weird. So I asked my little sister what happened, and she told me that it was one of my brother's gifts to me. A set that included hand cream, a nail file, a nail cuticle oil, and a little nail clipper, and she really wanted to try it and couldn't wait for me to open it, so she decided to go ahead and open it herself and try everything out. Half the hand cream had been squeezed out of the tube. The nail file was used because it had those telltale scratches on it, and the small nail/cuticle oil bottle wasn't closed properly, so it was also opened. I understand that, in the grand scheme of things, this isn't a big deal, but it made me sad that she had just gone and opened my gift like that without even thinking to consult me first. I said to her, verbatim, "You need to stop thinking all of my things are automatically yours too." Her mom taught her that everything that belongs to your siblings also belongs to you. Her philosophy: siblings share everything. So setting a boundary is very difficult. My sister got mad because I never share my things with her anymore and am purposely leaving some of my stuff at my mom's place to avoid her using them. Her mom called me quite selfish for belittling my own sister for wanting to be closer to me by borrowing my things. Aita, if I continued to be harsh about these boundaries, AITA for calling out a KI'd for having an invincible gun during a game of laser tag and ruining his day. I am a 26-year-old male from the UK. Every year, my family got to a holiday park called Center Parks. For those who do not know, it's always in the forest with cabins and lodges. Endless activities to book onto, a spa, sports, restaurants, etc. Very intrusive as well. It is quite expensive. One of the games is laser combat, basically your standard laser tag in the forest. You have a sensor on your gun and have to wear a headband for others to try to shoot. Me and 3 family members played in an hour-long session. Quite a few other families were there as well. There was 5 games in the session, 2 team games at the start, VIP, capture the flag, and free for all at the end. If you got shot 10 times, you would be out the round. So me and some other families were one team and many other families the other for the first round. We were better than the other team and eliminated most quickly. There was 4 of us left and only this one kid who looked about 12 left on the other team. He ran in the open completely exposed and DI'd not try and take cover. He somehow stormed us and took us all out. None of us landed a single hit despite all shooting right at Heim from close distance. I was really confused. Then in the second round, something similar happened. I then knew the kids' gun/sensors were not working properly, so I went up to the 2 rangers running the activity, saying that there was the problem with the kid's gun because we were unable to shoot him. They dismissed it, seeming to just think we were sore losers who could not take being beat by a child. The parents of the child looked at us smugly. Then it happened even worse in the third round, where me and one other person were shooting at Heim from 1 meter away and still could not land a hit. I went back to the Rangers and told them that it was ridiculous that the kids' equipment clearly was not working properly, and it needed to be checked. They finally agreed, and one of them shot the kid's sensors from point-blank range. No hit was taken. They admitted the equipment was faulty and gave the kid another gun. Of course, in the last 2 rounds, the KI'd was eliminated quickly and unfortunately cried at the end. The parents and other family members approached me and told me I was pathetic for calling their son out for winning a game and that I ruined his day. I responded by saying we paid good money for this activity and we are competitive and everyone deserves a fair chance in the game, child or not, and that it should be based on skill. They then told me to get a life and stormed off. I have been thinking about this since, and I'm wondering if I should have just left it and if I am an AH for calling it out. AITA for trying GIve my friend this piece of advice. Today is the deadline for most early action/decision college applications, and there's this one friend that several of us have constantly chided and reminded because he is extremely prone to procrastination. I honestly can't tell you what he does all day. So anyway, I told Heim a little while ago that there's only 6 hours left. How's it going? I mentioned that I already submitted and I called Heim irresponsible and that procrastination is going to screw Heim over eventually, if it hadn't already. Then I sent this. I've pasted it over word for word. You're not seeing this early action thing as a real deadline. You're thinking, if I'm too late for this, I can just apply regular. You're giving yourself too much wiggle room. If there is no deadline to your goals, or if they're inconcrete and flexible, you cannot recognize the severity of your failures. Since the resources invested are bound to pay off in the end, then you can easily convince yourself nothing has been lost yet, and that you're simply not at the finish line yet. You're turning a blind eye to the value of invested time that has been lost. If you're unaware of these lost time and resources, you cannot hope to reflect or improve. It is akin to marching in place. I hope in the short time remaining, you find some urgency to complete your essays. Then he said that I'm being unhelpful, to go pick on other people, and that he would block me unless I had actual advice. Then I said, 5 hours, 50 minutes left. I wish you the best of luck, and he blocked me. AITA for demanding that my husband pick my needs over his parents and let them feel cold for a bit. I, 35F, am currently 37 weeks pregnant and due for a planned C-section at the end of the week due to some complications with my baby. My husband's 35M parents are here to help with the newborn baby. Since they have come through, all that has happened is that I now have to cook for 4 instead of 2 and clean up after everyone. But these are not the major issues. The issue is that they can't stand the cold. It's currently autumn where I am and going into winter. I warned them before they came that it will be cold. The house, it's heated to 20 degrees Celsius, but that doesn't seem to be enough for them. and she complains about the cold at least 5 times a day. Now I have been running hot, probably B because of the pregnancy, and 20 degrees Celsius is borderline too much for me. I'm walking around in my summer clothes. I've asked them and given them extra layers to put on so they feel warmer, which until yesterday she refused to put on. Last night they visited some relatives, and I didn't go as I was feeling too tired, and she took the opportunity to complain to my husband about how cold she's been feeling. So, the moment he came home at night, he turned on the heater. I warned him that it would get too hot at night for me, but he said what else was he supposed to do and kept the heater on. He turned it off before he slept, but it was so hot for me last night that I sweated through my clothes and bedclothes. And it isn't just this. When I said that we shouldn't have outside visitors till the baby gets his vaccinations because of his complications, and that no one should be allowed to kiss him on the face, he argued with me over it, saying that if someone was sick, they would let us know, and only that person could be excluded. He died the same with me when I said that the midwives insisted that the baby should be sleeping in a room no warmer than 20 degrees Celsius. He argued with me that the kids in the tropics sleep in warmer rooms. And when his mom randomly dropped in the middle of a casual conversation that she was going to be carrying out an old tradition for the baby on the 28th day, he didn't even object and just accepted it. Now we had discussed this particular tradition previously, and he was totally against it then. But when his mom brought it up, he said that if she does it, it won't hurt anybody and it'll make her happy. Which is true, but I said that if we don't set any boundaries in the beginning, then more and more of these traditions will crop up. What pisses me off about the things like the visitors is that I'm only saying it to protect the baby, and it could actually harm the baby, and he still argues with me about it. He says it's just a discussion, but to me it feels like he thinks I'm being irrational and paranoid. I told him that I don't feel like he's on my team, and I'm being forced to do all the adjusting while he looks after his parents' comfort. He says I should just adjust for a while till they can adjust to being here. Am I overreacting here? AITA? Edit 1. My husband has been generally supportive throughout my pregnancy and the complications we've had with the baby. His parents are nice people, and I generally like them. They've traveled halfway across the world to be here and can't be told to go back just like that. He's trying to keep the peace, but all compromises seem to be falling on me. Edit 2. Usually it would have been my folks who came to help, but my mom passed away a couple of years ago, and my sister will be here in February to help out. AITA for not letting a K-Ide eat my food? The other day, I was at the mall with my boyfriend and our 2 kids, F5 and M6. We were sitting eating a bag of roasted chestnuts when this K-Ide, around 10 years old, starts hovering around us. Now, I admit I'm not the biggest fan of any K-Ide that doesn't belong to me, so this alone was already annoying me slightly, but I still smiled to him. Then he calls my son over and whispers in his ear, and I knew it was about the chestnuts. My son nods yes, and the boy comes up to me and reaches for a chestnut. I moved back and said, "No, you have to go ask your parents." My boyfriend got upset, called me rude, and handed a chestnut to the boy. The boy leaves, and I tell my boyfriend he shouldn't have done that. That, you don't just jive food to a strange kid. The boy then hovers back around us and without a word snatches 2 chestnuts from the bag that my boyfriend was now holding. I stand up and said very firmly, "Sorry, but you can't take our stuff like that. Go to your parents." He put them back and ran off. I think the K-Ide had no education manners, and I wasn't going to let my kids think it's okay to accept anything from strangers, or that it's okay to be pressured into sharing. My boyfriend doesn't agree and thinks the K-Ide trusted us be because we had kids ourselves. He thinks I was just selfish. So, AITA? AITA for refusing to pay for any rounds of drinks while on a night out. I, 21F, and my friends, both 21F, went out for Halloween last night. For some background, I stopped drinking when I was 19 because I disliked the way it made me feel and I didn't feel comfortable drinking anymore. Because of this, I was not planning on drinking last night, and I didn't. My friends do know this, but they do sometimes pressure me to drink with them, saying 1 drink won't hurt. So I usually tell them I have stomach problems, which isn't a complete lie. I did not realize we were buying rounds of drinks until the first girl asked us what we wanted, and I just got a tap water, which is free. I did have a cranberry juice at one point, but I pied for it and did not expect either friend to pay for it. Later that night, after both girls had bought a round, each they asked me to pay. I said no, because I didn't see it fair that I had to pay for both of their drinks, whilst mine was either water or nothing, and alcohol is quite expense. I've especially since it was Halloween night. They said it was fair since they had both me a drink, which I had to remind them again. Water didn't cost anything, and that I bought myself a juice, and I'd not expect them to pay. They asked me again and said that I should also get a drink this time, but I again refused. The first girl who bought the drinks eventually just bought the round, and the rest of the night they both kept making snarky remarks about it. One even asking if I was having money problems at the moment and that it was okay if I needed money help. I stayed with one of them for the night, and when I left, I kept thinking about it and felt a bit bad. I keep thinking that maybe I should have just paid for them since we were all having fun that night together. Edit. I just want to add the things they wanted specifically were strawberry daiquiri, which that night was £10 each from that bar. The rest of the night they were just getting mixers and or shots. They also died end up buying the cocktails even after I died not get them, so they died not pull a 180 or anything. AITA? AITA for telling my dad he looks like my mom's dad? So my father, M65, is an extremely narcissistic man. He thinks really highly of himself in all aspects of life, but mainly his looks. And in the process, he puts my mom and others down. He is fair. It's a brown country, so being just a tad bit fair gets you free beauty points. He does dress well. Most of his day is bragging about himself, praising how great a person he is, how he has high ethics, and how great he looks. He often makes up stories like, XYZ told me I look Canadian. People don't believe I am this ethnicity. I look so dashing and cool. He is extremely self involved. In years of marriage, he has never complimented my mom and has only put her down. He puts subtle shade on her color. Things like, people don't talk to your mom, but talk to me because I look really rich. It gives me an ick. The self love is fine. The constant bragging is annoying, and I hate when he puts my mom down. Full disclaimer, he looks very average. Yesterday, he shaved his face after years, and honestly, that took all the charm away. He looks 20 years older for real, but of course, he said, it's not that bad. At least I have such smooth and fair skin. IDK, what came on to me, the constant putting my mom down, I told him, yo, you look older than mom's dad. He is deeply offended. AITA? AITA for telling my dad I can't see how his prank was funny? 16F live with my mom and visit my dad every Saturday. Last Saturday was different though. He asked to meet outside for lunch instead of having me over. When I ordered iced latte, he snorted. I asked him what's so funny, and he said he pulled a prank on my stepmom. Now dad enjoys these things. He used to play videos of cats in heat to see our male cat's reaction to the sound, along with videos of dogs barking. Switched off the light when I was in the toilet several times. Once he put a snake plush next to my mom when she was sleeping, knowing she is terrified of snakes. A lot of shouting that day. So I asked him what he did. He said he made her latte, but with whole milk instead of her usual oat milk, knowing she is vegan. Wanted to see if she would be able to tell. She got really upset at him, hence why he asked to meet outside. Then Dad said to me, "That's funny, right?" And I just pulled a face and said, "Don't think so, Dad." Because I couldn't see how it's funny. He looked annoyed and said that people these days can't take a joke. Told me that I'm his son and supposed to side with him, saying I shouldn't be judgmental since it was harmless. AITA for continuing to walk my dog in a neighborhood I don't live in, even though I was asked not to by one of the residents. A few years back, I was walking my dog in a nearby neighborhood, and a dog that lived in that neighborhood who was off leash came running up to my dog, and my dog nipped him. I apologized to the owner, and she shrugged it off and didn't seem upset. My dog then passed away, and I got another similar-looking dog. When I walked that dog through the neighborhood, the woman was angry and told me not to bring my dog into her neighborhood ever again since her dog was traumatized and changed by the encounter with my previous dog. I told her this is a new dog that I've got, so her dog shouldn't be traumatized by him. She told me to walk my dog in my own neighborhood and stay out of her neighborhood. For the most part, I will walk my dog in my own neighborhood, but I will sometimes, maybe once a month, walk through her neighborhood. When she saw me walking by, she came out of the house screaming at me and said I was an asshole for continuing to walk through her neighborhood even after she told me I can't. I flipped her the bird and told her she doesn't own the streets, and I will walk whatever street I want. I suppose it is kind of passive aggressive of me to continue to walk in her neighborhood since I have many options regarding where I can walk my dog, but I feel she is wrong to tell me I can't walk on the street in front of her house. Am I being an asshole? What would you do? AITA for making my BF do the dishes most of the time while I do most of the cooking. Moved in with my boyfriend recently, and we're trying to figure out how to split up cleaning duties. Tonight, I wanted to start doing some of the more deep cleaning tasks we haven't done yet during the week. Plus, there was a sink full of dishes that I asked my boyfriend to take care of. I usually put all the dry dishes away, but TN I asked, I'm due, yo. You want me to put the dry stuff away? Or, yo, you do that and I'll wash the dishes. He chose washing the dishes. I do most of the meal planning and cooking, so I figured it makes sense he washes most of the dishes. Well, he starts complaining about doing the dishes and says I should just washing my stuff right after I use them instead of leaving them in the sink. FYI, it wasn't just my dishes in the sink. Things lead to an argument. He said all I do is cook and leave him to clean up after. I told Haim one thing I don't want to argue about is cleaning the house. We both use the space, so we should both support each other in keeping the house clean. I also told him if he sees cooking as so easy, he's free to start cooking and cleaning for him, and I'll do the same for myself. I don't want to be a nagging person, but if there's shit that needs to be taken care of, OFC, I'm going to bring it up. I feel like as a woman, it is naturally expected of me to take care of more things in the house, but I don't want to play the caretaker role for my whole life. Also, I pay more attention to details than him, but it's those little things that also bother me. For example, he'll wash the dishes but leave food scraps all in the sink. Does anyone have advice on how to balance cleaning in your schedule and splitting the responsibilities with your partner? I'm worried if things aren't set up right in the beginning, it's never going to change. And my boundaries for when we're married won't be set in place. I put together a cleaning schedule for us to start using, so we'll see if that works. AITA for refusing to GIve my college fund to my nephew after my sister found out about it. Hi. For the past 6 years, I have been working on different jobs in my shithole of a country in order to save up and get a real education and a proper job later. My parents were always promising to pay for it, but they never did. At some point, I managed to get a scholarship and I used saved money for housing and other bills and spendings. I have a sister and she has a son. She was always complaining how no one ever helped her with money, just like me. But unlike her, I wasn't mentioning it that much. I have never mentioned the fund, but my parents have accidentally revealed it to the sister at the latest family gathering. Then my sister immediately turns to me and asks to donate the remaining money to her and her child, saying I could move in back with my parents. My goddamn parents agree with her because family helps family. I obviously refused because I have been saving up for years, and now I am going to need it. Then my sister and parents just turn red, accusing me of being a selfish prick. I quickly fled the family gathering without asking other family members what do they think about it, but I really don't know if I am doing something incorrect or their reaction was the wrong. AITA for telling my coworker to message me instead of interrupting me. I, 34F, work in an open plan office. It's noisy, so I wear large, noise-canceling headphones to concentrate. This is very common in my office. My coworker, Jane, 50s F, is very social and often comes to my desk to chat about non-work related things, gossip, her weekend, etc. She frequently tries to talk to me while I'm clearly plugged in, forcing me to stop, take my headphones off, and ask her to repeat herself. It shatters my focus. Yesterday, I was on a tight deadline. Jane came over and started talking. I didn't hear her. She then tapped me hard on the shoulder, making me jump. I took my headphones off and she looked annoyed. She said, I was trying to ask you something. This is where I might be the AH. I was stressed and blunt. I said, Jane, when I'm wearing these, it means I'm focusing. If it's not an urgent work emergency, can you please just send me a message? She looked really offended, said, fine, forget it, and walked off. Later, I heard her complaining to another colleague that I was rude and not a team player. I feel bad for snapping, but I'm also frustrated by the constant interruptions. AITA for calling out my in-laws after they mocked my parents for crying. I, F23, just had a baby. After giving birth, I stayed with my parents for like 2 months before moving back home with my husband. When my husband plus his parents came to pick me up, my parents got emotional saying goodbye. Like, yeah, they cried a bit. It was really sweet, honestly. We don't live close and they won't see us often. But in the car, my in laws started laughing about it, like saying, oh, wow, so dramatic and stuff. I just sat there like, are you serious? It felt so mean and disrespectful. I ended up snapping and told them it wasn't funny. Then everyone went quiet, and later my husband told me I overreacted. But during those 2 months, they barely texted or called to check on us, not even when the baby got sick twice. And now they're mocking my parents for caring too much? IDK man. ATA for calling them out. ATA for not letting my sister's boyfriend borrow my car, even though hers broke down. So I, 27F, have a reliable little Honda that I keep in good shape, B, because I commute a lot for work. My younger sister, 24F, lives about 30 minutes away with her boyfriend, 25M, and a few days ago, her car broke down. She called me asking if her boyfriend could borrow my car to hang out with his friends since theirs is in the repair shop. I immediately said no, not because I don't trust her, but because I barely know her at all. They've only been together for like 2 months. Plus, my insurance specifically only covers listed drivers, so if anything happens, it would have to be paid out of pocket. When I told her no, she got all mad and side-eyed I'm acting like I own a Lamborghini. Her boyfriend apparently made a comment about how I don't get how hard it is for people without cars. That actually got me a bit mad, B, because I worked my ass off to get this car and finally managed to pay it off in full last year. My parents are also split on this, with my mother saying I should have helped family and my father being on my side about all of it. So I'm posting this here to get the public opinion. AITA WIBTA for not going to Thanksgiving dinner at my in-laws. 40/F married for 10 years to my amazing husband. This is both our first marriage, though we died have common laws that resulted in children with other significant others and no children together. His parents are very religious, old-fashioned in the way they do things. Their beliefs are very cut and dry, but mostly innocent, just different from my own. My mother-in-law very much speaks her mind and says things most people could consider hurtful, though I honestly believe she doesn't mean it that way. She just doesn't think past her words and doesn't think what she says is hurtful, only true. Background on me is I have had some recent health issues, not that I was ever small, and gained weight, my highest being 280 through hard work. I'm down 35 pounds and 5 feet 11 now, but still don't feel great about myself. My mother-in-law constantly makes comments like, I better not eat that, or I should exercise after that meal, referring to herself, but to me, or I'd be awful if I gained 10 pounds, then look at me and say, but yo, you look great at that weight I'm just taking about me. I'd not look great. I don't have the bone structure. She is 5 feet 5, maybe 110. I usually shrug it off and try not to let it bother me. But recently, she remodeled her dining room and bought these cheap silver chairs, the ones that don't have 4 legs. Just 2 bottoms, that kind of cantilever. She called me the other day and told me bluntly these chairs have a 250 weight limit and that she doesn't know or want to know what I weigh but doesn't want me to sit on these chairs. She explained she would bring out one of her old wooden chairs for me to sit on and she was calling. So it would be less embarrassed than if she told me in front of the rest of the family. I politely said, okay, thank you for letting me know, and hung up. I now do not want to go to dinner to sit on my special wooden chair at dinner, and refusing to go. My husband doesn't understand and just keeps saying she's just cheap and bought cheap chairs and he's sorry it hurt my feelings and agrees how she died it was hurtful but wants me to go. But the whole situation makes me feel awful and bad and embarrassed.